Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're going to do a quick interview here with Coach Guy LeCompte. He is one of our wonderful candidates for District 1, and we're going to get to know him with some questions, and he's going to tell us all about himself and why he's running. So, hi, Coach LeCompte. It's great to have you here.
Hey, Abby, it's great to be here, and I appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Well, we just want to get to know you, and for those that don't know you in this community, I think this is a great opportunity for them to kind of ask the questions, or we're going to ask some questions that will help them to find out the core of who Guy LeCompte is all about, and also why you're running and different things that you want to share with the audience. So first and foremost, I thought we would start with what you're doing currently, and what first started getting you involved in possibly running as a candidate and for the school board.
Yeah, so I just left retirement, and I was coaching and teaching in private sector in the private schools. I received a call from the principal from Franklinton High School, and so I'm currently coaching there. We're trying to get their program back on and instill discipline in that school. He's doing such a great job, and I thought that he's a fantastic person. So I'm enjoying this opportunity to help him get his school back in the position that he wants it to be in. So recently, we took this on, and as far as running, I received calls from people in the community and asking me if, I guess because of name recognition, I coached in Mandeville for so long. So what I'd be interested in doing this, they knew what I stood for and the way I coached their children. My wife and I, we spoke about it, and we came to the conclusion, no, I don't know if this is something we want to do. And especially during this time with football season we spend so much time, and my time is very limited. Received more calls one day walking off the field. So Colleen is my wife, and we spoke about it, and then we prayed about it, and we said, okay, if this is what the good Lord wants us to do, then we'll throw our name in the hat. And if we win, then we know that we're in the right track. And if we don't, then I'm off the hook as far as that goes. But I think we can make a difference. My motivation for doing this is real simple. I think it's time, and I think that change is needed. But it's very difficult during this time. You're being spread. I've learned a lot in this short period of time. There's a lot of committees and organizations out there that want to offer endorsements. And so you're being pulled in a lot of different directions. However, the time that I have is very, very limited because my dedication are to the players, to the kids that I'm coaching. And I find it very interesting that some of these organizations, they'll get offended that you're not taking the time to meet with them and share your ideas and views. And I find that interesting because I am running for school board, and my dedication are to my students and always have been. It's always been about the kids. So I think the parents are appreciative of that. So when we raise awareness to that in those organizations, I guess they don't have a leg to stand on when it comes to it, because my focus is the kids.
I love that. I think that's really, really good. And that's obviously the point of a school board member, is that your focus should be the kids. And it just happened that you're, coaching during football season, during election time. So all of this is going on at the same time. And, I think you're picking the right focus to remain focused on your commitments to the school at Franklinton and the students there. And, it just happens that it's during a campaign season at the same time. But just to clarify for those that are watching, you're planning on using that same dedication and commitment once you get onto the school board, to focus on that role and, put all of your energy into that. Is that correct?
No, that's true. And so once I'm committed to something, that's where my emphasis and attention will go. So essentially, I'm hurting my own campaign. I'm not hurting anybody else's organization by not attending theirs. And so it's my campaign that's being sacrificed, but it's also for the kids. And so football season will end, and shortly after these elections, if we do well, and if I get elected, then yeah, my focus and attention is going to go into what we can do to make changes here that our children and our community will benefit. They are our future leaders, so we want to make sure that they're in the right direction.
I love that. That's great. Well, awesome. Let's go ahead and go into some more questions. The first question that I have for you is, who is Guy LeCompte in a nutshell?
Yes.
Maybe let us know, like, just some of the top things that you would want a person to know.
Well, first thing is this: I'm a Christian. I stand on my faith. I'm a husband, I'm a parent, and I'm also a citizen in Mandeville. I love our community extremely uh, a lot. And I've spent the last 29 years in education as a teacher. I've taught math, I've taught science. I've been a coach for all those years, an athletic director, so and as well as an administrator. And so I've spent a lot of time in education. I chose this career path years ago. Stepped out of the business world and felt like I had a calling on my life, and I really enjoyed the coaching. You know, we joke a little bit. People say, "Coach, you outkicked your coverage" when they see my wife, and I just laugh and say, "Yeah, I told her I was going to be a doctor," which is when I started teaching chemistry, and then I after before we got married, and then after we got married, hey, I'm gonna be a coach. So I tricked her, but so that's a little bit about me in a nutshell. And I think that's it. Like you said earlier, I don't really like talking about myself, but uh,
Mhm.
we'll leave it there.
That's great. I love it. Great to know you and get to know you a little more with these questions. Okay, our second question is, why are you running as a candidate in your district?
Okay, so there's no secret, and I won't tiptoe around this, that our country's changed drastically in the last 3 years since COVID. COVID's magnified a lot of things. Seems to be a lot of confusion on what's right and wrong now. And having spent 29 years in education, I've watched the family unit be destroyed. I've watched kids and I've watched the morality of our country change. We're telling people what's right is wrong and what's wrong is right now. And I have a serious problem with it when we start trying to indoctrinate kids and what we're doing from social media to television and now in the classroom. And so now we have to draw the line. You know, you have to question the people who are writing the rules and implementing these rules and policies. Now we have to question their validity. And so once we see this where this is infiltrating our school system, now I think it's time that we get back to people being in charge of our country and doing the right thing for what our community, the right thing for our community.
Great answer. I love that. Fantastic. Okay, another question. What are your top 2 to 3 biggest issues that you'd like to see change in our St. Tammany school parish?
Yeah, so that's a good question. There's a little saying in education that don't touch the money and don't touch the kids. And so those are two things that get you out of education real quickly. And those are the 2 points that I want to focus on: the money and how it's being spent, and are we using it, our funds, our dollars, tax dollars, as efficiently and effectively as we can. We don't want there to be waste. We want to keep checks and balances in place, and that keeps people honest. It's like putting a lock on a locker. So we want to keep people honest in that regard. And then the children, go back to the indoctrination of the children. I think that it's time to question and shed light on some of these the education reform and some of the curriculums that's being passed down, uh, whether it be federally supported, but who are making these decisions and why are they being implemented in our school system? So I think that it's time to question these issues. And having dropped from top maybe 1, 2, 3 in the state of Louisiana to as low as 18, I've heard. So we've seen a decline in our school system, and I think it's time to question both of those areas.
No, that's great. I love it. Those are great, really good issues to focus on. Okay, how would you fix these issues that you've identified?
Okay, so like any team, you have to work together, and unless we do, we're not going to accomplish very much. And so I think the thing that I would think is an integral part of us working together is, let's identify. There's a lot of candidates running right now for the same reason, and I think that if they get elected, if everyone gets elected, I think that in speaking with some of these candidates, we'll have no problem working together. But they have different backgrounds, and so what we want to do is, in my opinion, is it would be a great idea to separate our board into the areas of their strengths. Again, one being finance and in the budget, and the other being curriculum. And so I think that if we can get a start there and stand on some common ground, that would be the first thing I would do, is to try to implement a finance committee and try to get a curriculum committee together that we can dive deeper into these issues that I feel are important at this point.
Yeah, I think that's great. Great hearing, getting you guys to focus on the things that are your area of expertise, and then involving community experts too, to kind of give you other
Right.
perspectives. I think it's one of the strengths of having such a diverse school board. So yeah, we do have some wonderful candidates that are
You
running.
know, I can say this too, Abby. We have we were able to build a phenomenal program and booster club and raised a lot of money here in Mandeville. And the thing that's unique, that I find unique about our community in St. Tammany as a whole, but I'm gonna speak specifically on Mandeville. There's a lot of very intelligent people and a lot of good people that are well-meaning. And so I think you're right. We have a unique community in that regard, and opening the door and making it a welcoming environment for these people and listening. You know, we have two ears and one mouth, and we should use our ears twice as much as we use our mouth. So I think listening to a lot of the people and the concerns are important. That was one thing that caught my eye. My wife happened to have school board meetings on, and so when you have parents that are truly concerned, because the most important thing to you are your children. And so with that in mind, when they go to school board meetings and they're not heard, or it's not a welcoming environment, or even to a point where you see on a federal level that we're going to label parents as extremists or even terrorists, I have a serious problem with that. These are concerned moms, and when their heart is bleeding and they're trying to get points across and they're being shut up, that was my number one reason: is how is this happening? Are they being coerced or bought? How are so many school boards across the country falling hook, line, and sinker with this and doing the same thing? And so I guess out of curiosity, that was one of the things that piqued my interest in doing this, because I'm not going to be coerced, I'm not going to be bought in any, and so that's simple. I want to find out, where is this coming from? But we're gonna have the parents backs in this community or in this board. I'll leave it there.
I love that. That is fantastic. I do think that's something that has been missed, is that our school board, for some reason, and many of them around the country, they've lost touch with their communities, and
Yeah.
that their first and foremost prime role is to be the voice of the people, not necessarily to speak for the central office or the federal government or anyone else. They're supposed to be independent and able to get those, that communication going, and being that open source, and not, fear. People shouldn't fear any sort of retribution or punishment, or just for asking questions and trying to get their voice heard. So I think that's wonderful. I think that it's great that you recognize that. And I think in this area, definitely it did bring a lot of great candidates into this race, because they want to prevent that from happening. So thank you. That's wonderful. I love you highlighting that. Okay. What do you think the residents in this community want to know about you? Do you have like a quick, you know,
The thing is that I'm not a politician, and I won't pretend to be one. I think that I'm perceived that way by my players and the families. I'm going to stand firm on what I believe in. I'm not going to waver. It's going to be unwavering. Um, I have questions, I'm sure everyone else in this community has. The biggest thing that I can guarantee you is that I'm going to shed light on things. We're going to make it available and readily available. I'm going to be available myself. I may not have all the answers, but I will work to find the answers that people are looking for. But we're going to hold people accountable, and we're going to shed light on sorts. So I like at the event you held, and one of the ladies spoke on a panel about the textbooks being implemented, and they are in our libraries. When I mentioned some of the things that I highlighted earlier, people said, "Is that in Mandeville? I mean, in St. Tammany Parish, has that gotten here?" Well, that answered the question. Those books are starting to infiltrate into our libraries. Someone has made a decision to purchase those, and someone approved those. And so what we're not going to do is we're not going to allow these people to make decisions and hide behind layers. I'm going to find the root source of them, and we're going to identify them, and we're going to call them out. I'm going to make sure the public understands who is making these decisions and where it's coming from, so that we can direct the source there. But there's going to be a light shine on these decisions and where they're coming from.
I love that. That's fantastic. That's so needed. And we appreciate you being one of the people committed to doing that. So thank you. I have one last question. We'll keep it fun. What is your favorite Louisiana tradition, and why?
Well, the last name LeCompte. So my grandparents from both sides were pure Cajun, and they spoke, the Cajun French in the home, when they didn't want us to hear what they was or know what they were talking about. But the tradition with the red beans on Monday, I think that's pretty unique deal. But I have to say this: of places that I've traveled, and when you when they ask where you're from, and you're saying, you know, from New Orleans or from Louisiana. I think South Louisiana in particular. I don't want to offend people up north, but I still think South Louisiana people are unique in their own way, and I think that don't think there's a place that has people is I think friendly, and that's the one thing you get from when you travel outside of here is the people. And so, you know, I've lived in Dallas for a little time. Boy, it was hard. It was hard to leave our culture and our society here. So even flying back from Dallas and you get in the New Orleans airport and you get into the car garage and you feel the humidity and the heat. You're like, all right, it's back home. We're back home. But I don't know, Abby, there's so many different, it's hard to just pinpoint one. I just think the people.
That's wonderful. Well, fantastic. Thank you for your time, Coach LeCompte. We so appreciate you being so direct with your answers and just, a moral compass for our area. I think District 1 is blessed to have you running for them. And, I'll definitely put your information out there. So if anyone has additional questions that they'd like to ask you, I know you're open to it. You've always answered my calls very quickly and my text messages and my emails. So you're very accessible. I know you're a busy man and you have a busy family life as well as working at Franklinton right now. So thank you for your time and effort for this call. And we look forward to seeing your campaign and getting you on that school board.
Thank you, Abby. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.